How to Read Music, Part A, Lesson 5, Dotted Values. This lesson is part of the GCH Guitar Academy guitar course, How to Read Guitar Music. And you can find links to the other lessons in this course down below in the description and to the playlist that contains the complete guitar course. Before we start looking at the dot values, let's just revise all the other values we've learnt in this course because it's going to be essential. And the first note value we looked at was the semi-breve. And the semi-breve lasted for 4 beats and the rest the same 4 beats. And its value was 1. The second one we looked at was the minim, and the minim lasted for 2 beats, and again the rest lasts for 2 beats, and its value was 2. The third one we looked at was the crotchet. And the crotchet lasts for 1 beat, and again the rest lasts for 1 beat, and its value was 4. Next we looked at the quaver, which lasts for half a beat. And again the rest lasts for half a beat, and its value was 8. Now, looking at the values on their own, which we now know we're using the time signatures for the bottom number of the fraction, you'll notice it doubles every time. 1, 2, 4, 8. So as you can imagine, with the next one we would look at, it would go to 16, and then beyond that 32. However, how many beats each note is worth halves every time. So a semi-breve is 4 beats, a minim is 2 beats, a crotchet is 1 beat, and then a quaver is half a beat. And if we continued on, a semiquaver is 1/4 of a beat. To know how long each note shape lasts for is important, obviously, because that's what we're learning. However, it also affects dotted notes, because the dot is added to the note shapes you already know. And what the dot does, it increases the time the note lasts by half its own value. It's a little confusing, but once I show you, you'll understand it's quite clear. So then, if we get a semi-breve, which we know lasts for 4 beats, and then add a dot onto it, it now lasts for 6 beats. Because the semi-breve was 4 beats, then half of that is 2 beats, and the total is 6 beats. The same thing applies to all the other note shapes. So, for a minim, which is 2 beats, we then add half of itself on, which would be 1 beat, so a dotted minim lasts for 3 beats. A crotchet, which lasts for 1 beat, will now last for 1.5 beats if it's got a dot on it. And finally, in these examples, a quaver, which is already a half, if we add half of that on, which is 1/4, it becomes 3/4 of a beat. It is important to note that the dot is always after the note, because dots are used for various things in music, and a dot above the note or below the note can mean something completely different, and usually that's staccato, which means you cut the note short. But we'll look at that in more detail in another lesson. An important thing to note is that even when we're using dots, the number of beats in each bar should remain the same. So for example, we've got a 4/4 piece of music here, which means 4 full beats. The first bar is made up of a dotted minim, which is 3 beats, and a crotchet, so that's 4 beats. The second bar has 2 dotted crotchets, which are 1.5 beats each, so that's 3 beats for the 2, and then another crotchet, so that's 4 beats. And if you continue to look through this example, you'll see that every single bar adds up to 4, and that's the way it should be, unless it's stated that that part of the tune or that bar has changed time signature, because this can happen. Right, to help you remember all this, let's do a couple of exercises. Exercise 1. This exercise is just some simple chords with a single note joining the chords. However, be warned, if you're just looking at the tablature, you could get confused about the rhythm. Let's take a closer look. If we look at bar 1 and bar 2, they're fairly similar in the tablature. However, if you look at the music, you'll note that bar 1 has got a dotted minim, which is 3 notes, and then a crotchet on the last beat. So you're playing the chord for 3 beats, and then the single note is just 1 beat. And now if we look at bar 2, it's 2 minims. So the chord will last for 2 beats and the single note will last for 2 beats. And this alternates throughout the tune. So if we look at bar 3, you'll see again it's a dotted minim, which is 3 beats, and a crotchet at the end of the bar. And if you look at the end of the line at bar 4, it's a semi-breve, which will last for a full 4 beats. And a similar pattern of rhythms plays throughout this tune. Right, let's hear this exercise being played at 90 beats per minute with a metronome. And as usual, I'll give you a 2-bar introduction so you can try and play along with it if you can. And the first time I play it through, I'll ignore the repeats. I hope you notice those. There is a repeat at the beginning and at the end, so the whole exercise is repeated. But I won't play that this first time round. Let's hear that played again with the 2-bar introduction at 90 beats per minute, but this time try and play along if you can, and I'll play the repeat this time. Right, let's try that again one last time, but this time a little faster at 110 beats per minute, again with the 2-bar introduction. Okay, let's move on to the next exercise. Exercise 2, Down in the Valley. Down in the Valley is a classic that most people know. However, it's worth looking at because of some little quirks it's got in it, particularly this version. The first thing you need to notice is that it's in 3/4 time, which means 3 crotchets per bar. And as a reminder, when you're in 3/4 time, this is what the metronome sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And this is probably why in this particular tune there's quite a few dotted notes. So if, for example, we were to look at the first line, you'll notice that bar 2 and bar 3 both have dotted minims in them, which is obviously 3 beats, and the last bar of the line, bar 4, has a dotted minim rest. So you can see when you're in 3/4 time, a dotted minim acts the same way as a semibreve in 4/4 time, in that the note fills the bar. If you look at the second line, you'll notice the entire line is double stops, which means we're playing 2 notes at the same time. Now, if this is new to you or you've never fingerpicked, you might prefer to just play the higher note and ignore the bottom one. However, whilst we're looking at the double stops, there's an interesting fact I'd like to point out to you. If you look at the last line of the first page and the first 2 bars, you'll notice that the higher part is always moving in the opposite direction to the bottom part. So in the first bar, the high part is going down and the bass part is coming up to meet it. And this is called counterpoint. And this style of music was developed a long time ago in order to fit in with the rules of classical music at the time, which is actually still taught today. And that is that you should never use a consecutive fifth or consecutive octaves. So, in order to avoid this from happening, you'd write the tune so that the parts moved in opposite directions to one another. And really, in full counterpoint, the rhythms would contrast one another as well. And this actually sounds really good when done properly. This isn't part of the course at this stage, and it's not important for you to remember it. It was just, as we had such a good example of it here, I thought I'd point it out to you. So, firstly, in case you just want to play the top half because you've not fingerpicked before, I'll play that part all the way through at 90 beats per minute with a 2-bar introduction. Here's the entire tune again at 90 beats per minute with a 2-bar introduction, but this time I'll play both parts, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Here it is again at 90 beats per minute with a 2-bar introduction. If you're feeling a little more adventurous, here it is at 110 beats per minute with a 2-bar introduction. And here that is again. Right, as I've done in the past, this time I'm going to give you another piece of homework. And the tune is Ghost Riders in the Sky, which was made famous by Dwayne Eddy. Though there's elements in this particular tune of the Jet Harris version, and this is why you'll need to read the rhythm. This is actually quite an interesting and quite a challenging exercise. Because most of you will have heard this tune, you'll all have some idea how the rhythm should sound, but you might not be correct. So you need to read the rhythm very carefully to make sure you're playing it as it should be played in this particular version. And then hopefully by next week I will have uploaded the correct version and the backing track so you can check if you've got it right. And you can play this tune on any guitar, electric or acoustic. So you can do the homework. You can download the PDF of this lesson completely free. And how you'll find it is go to www.ebooksforguitar.com/lessons and then select right or left-handed, and then once you're in there select reading music, which is this course you're in at the moment. And if you scroll down to this video, you'll find the PDF completely free to download underneath it. I'll put all the relevant links down below in the description, including the links to the rest of this course. At the end of this lesson, I've put metronome beats, 4/4 time at 90 and 110 beats per minute, and also 3/4 time at 90 and 110 beats per minute, so you can practice what you've learned. So I'll sign off now. Thank you very much for watching this video, it's much appreciated, and please like and subscribe. And if you've just found this video, it's part of a whole course on reading guitar music, and you can find the playlist for that on my channel, or you can find the whole course at eBooksforguitar.com, and it's in the lessons section. Again, thank you for watching, and here are the metronome beats.